Okay, Coach, when you're ready, go right ahead.
Yeah, just about last week, obviously very disappointing. Did not play well in any phase of the game. So that we got to look at, what we're doing, what we're asking them to do, what they do well, and get that fixed immediately. That was really the first game, that it was just disappointing to watch us play. I think every other game this year with the, we're in close games, we're competing, we're at it. That wasn't it on Saturday. So that's disappointing.
What, as far as Ben goes, what's his status for this week?
Won't know. He's getting evaluated today, and I'll know probably later this afternoon or tomorrow morning exactly what his status will be for the practice this week. But we're hoping he'll be back.
If he's not able to go, what is your plan?
Yeah, we're looking at that now and developing a plan for who we're going to go with and what that individual does best and what's the best part of his game and making sure we tailor it to that.
What led you to go with the alternating series against Air Force?
Yeah, I think what it was we got two guys that have talent and ability. We just haven't gotten it out of Giovanni the last 3 or 4 games, and we had to be ready for if we needed to pivot to Jabari, and so that was where it started, and then that's where it ended up as the game went on.
Can you pinpoint at all what you think is happened to Giovanni? Is his confidence? Is he hurt? What do you think it is?
I couldn't tell you exactly. That's probably more of a question he'd answer. But I do know when he got banged up at Colorado State, he hasn't quite been the same there. I don't know if that messed with his head or his physical, the physical part of the game. I couldn't tell you exactly on that.
In the Air Force game, and lately it seems like the defense has been coming after your quarterbacks with more blitzes and stuff. How do you combat that? Because it was a real problem Saturday.
Yeah, you got to know when they bring their guy where the hot is and make them pay for doing it. And that was what we weren't doing. They had a read here when this pressure comes. Here's your hot. You got to just get the ball out and do it. And we were holding on to the ball and taking sacks.
Not an ideal circumstance for Jabari to get his first extended playing time, but it was playing time. What did you see? Anything out of there to build on with him?
Yeah, there's always stuff to build off of, even when it's not a great performance. But he did some stuff, and with his legs and made some throws that were good. It's just and again, tough when it's your first real long stretch of plays, just being consistent and what the defense is giving you and taking what they're giving you. And I didn't think we did a good job in the whole game doing that.
Patterson made his first career start. What was the thought process behind that, and what do you see out of his performance?
I like Jaheim, and I think Jaheim's got a chance to be a really good player. And I've been pushing us to play him more because I think he has some real talent. And it's just been, a junior college guy that got here that has had to develop over time, and I think he's to a point where he's playing pretty well. He's a physical player. He'll throw his body around, and he's got the athletic ability to run with receivers and do the things that our safeties need to be able to do.
It didn't look like Melvin Jordan got any playing time on Saturday. Was that an injury situation,
Yep.
or it was an
Yes.
injury situation?
Yep.
Okay.
Coach, just looking over that game, a lot of 8, 9, even 10-man boxes. You guys were playing against them. Just what is the inability right now to stop the run? Is it like poor tackling angles? Is it just not reading keys? What have been those issues?
Yeah, I mean, on Saturday there were some poor angles for sure. A play that got out a little bit turned into an explosive run because of bad angles from pursuit from the backside. But against Air Force, I mean, they're going to get 200 yards rushing as much as they run it, right? So it's a little bit different than a normal opponent. But the plays that did hurt us in the run game were pursuit angles from the backside.
Looking ahead down to these last 2 games, Washington State athletic quarterback and Boise State, just an incredible run game.
Mm-hmm.
Those have both been kind of the 2 biggest issues for this defense all year. Just looking over the schedule, just where do you go from here? How do you get them ready to take on those 2 things that they haven't been super effective against this season?
Yeah, you got to keep teaching them and keep working them, and then understanding, especially an athletic quarterback, where's his escape lane. And using that to our advantage and knowing that and making that happen and understanding when you got to collapse and fold back and all those different things that an athletic quarterback causes problems. But there's no magic. There's no magic pill that you take and all of a sudden bang. You know, it's again continuing to get better through their teaching and then through their experience. That hopefully, as you go through a season, they get better.
Coach, you have Senior Day coming up on Saturday. Could you reflect a little bit on that group and the guys especially the guys that have been through the entire run and their whole careers, and you've been with them, and how much what your appreciation for those guys is?
Yeah, great appreciation for them. Everything they've been through, they were here when we started to rebuild this place. You know, they took it to the level we were at the last couple of years, and they're back into a rebuilding phase. So they've been through a lot. They've stayed positive. They've been great in the locker room, and their presence and what they've done this year from a leadership and example will carry out through, has had a huge impact on our young players. So very appreciative for what they've done.
Washington State sustained a tough loss on the road, but what a year they've had. When you look at them, both sides of the ball, what are the things that have jumped out at you about how they've played this year?
Yeah, they played well, and they found ways to win those close games. And really, really talented offense, receivers, quarterback. So their ability to put points on the board has been a big, factor in their success. They've been able to make last-minute drives and go score. So that explosiveness is something that we gotta limit.
We talked in July about the roster you had and the schedule you had, and you thought there was an opportunity to make a run at the CFP. Well, that hasn't happened. What did you overlook or miss about this team?
No, I don't think anything. I mean, there's been some different things. I mean, we're playing with a lot of guys that at the time I didn't think would play like as much as they are, young guys and freshmen, and we've had some guys not be able to play, especially not only before the season, but as, the season's moved on through the first couple weeks of the season. So that's been tough. And then we've had some close games that we just didn't come up with the win. And I think if you do in those, the season's obviously very different. But I feel the same way about the group as far as their ability. It's just, we haven't found those moments when we've needed them, and we're missing some guys that would have had a huge impact on the season.
Has any of it been, you've mentioned the players at certain positions are inexperienced, not the veterans you had a year ago. Is some of that also with the coaches too, that some of you guys are growing into, yourself and Gundy growing into certain positions, and you got to learn how to do this? Has that been
I think there's always some of it. As coaches, you definitely have to. I've always said as a coach, the players' successes are theirs and their failures are ours. So we got to look at it that way. How do we continue to improve as coaches as well? Because that's definitely, it's never just on the coaches, on the players. It's a group, and we all win and lose together. So we all have to look at what do we need to get better at, whether I'm a coordinator and how am I setting up the game plan and calling in game. Is that giving us the best chance for success? Then at each position group, what are the things that I'm teaching them that we're not getting done that I got to make sure I emphasize more? That's a constant process. That again, when you lose, like we've lost the last 5 weeks, it's never just one thing, and it's certainly not just the players. So absolutely, I challenge myself and the coaches to come up with a better way to get these guys to perform at the level we know they're capable of.
The challenge of stopping Mateer, who can hurt you through the air, but clearly on the ground as well.
Yeah, it's just that those quarterbacks are tough for anyone to defend, and so it's understanding where we got to keep him and how we got to control him from taking off and running and not giving him those lanes to do it. And then you just got to be in great position and coverage on top of the receivers and not let them get those big explosive passes down the field that have helped them move the ball and put points on the board all year.
We asked you this a couple weeks ago about team morale. What about now?
It's the same thing. Meeting with them yesterday and going through it, their resolve and ability to not let a loss or a string of losses affect who they are and how they go about their work has been impressive and continues to be. It just goes back to what we believe in. It's process oriented. It's, do you learn from failure, or do you and that's what we're about. We're about growth and learning from our mistakes, and as long as we keep doing that, it'll flip at some point. It'll turn around.
Anybody else? Thank you, Coach.
All right, thank you.